It'll kind of just tell them what it is. That's just north of Forest Lake.
How's that work out? Bill with that. Grass that we put in the soil.
And then
It costs you a little bit.
everything is put in new line at our place.
Is there any plans for what he's gonna do with it?
I just heard it now.
Oh, I see.
At one time, quite a while ago, he was talking about acquiring that
Did that
bakery.
package come out good on that disc?
I'm surprised that he even
Yeah.
get involved now in a medical issue.
Oh, yeah. One of them goes to St. Peter, and building a new school, and that's like St. Peter.
Well, that 626 would be an improvement, just like that was gone.
Well, this is 16.
You didn't grow up with them, like.
I know, but what good is,
You know,
true, you know,
I think
it's
it's
a
a
memory,
memory,
look at
that's
it.
the oldest commercial building on the street now.
USC.
Yeah,
It's only 2 years.
I've heard that, and I know that there's a lot of nostalgia there,
Yeah.
but at the same time, this is going to a lot of the future. If you would just even make the front look
He
decent.
finished,
Yeah,
finished
Oh,
when he
yeah?
started.
yeah,
He started that, at least 10 years ago. It's beautiful.
yeah.
Small as, you say Forest Lake?
Well, we were talking, he said the skiers are open, and I said, yeah, Taylor's Falls is,
Oh, well, Mom.
yeah, but they always open early, I don't know how they do it. Cause up, like at Lutzen, they won't even think about making snow coming, it freezes every day.
Yeah, they always open early.
Richard is going to be here, isn't he?
Carpet thing. I noticed that.
Uh,
A couple weeks
I
ago.
think so.
What is that?
We've got spring field again.
He's going to order, he called the order.
Wait for it, guy that works there every day had a storm,
Oh, geez.
so it's just constant trying to get people out there to work. It's
There
tough.
was no on there either.
Yeah, he's still celebrating the re-election.
Is it 2 hours?
2 hours, yeah, 2.5. Work 9 hours, stand it all day, and drive like 20 bucks.
Oh,
I did it a couple days, and I said, I can't. Unless you wanna put me in there, so I can't.
yeah, no, that's just, it's like 2 parties, right?
What's that?
You know.
Oh, here's Richard.
Here, okay.
All right, it goes.
Too bad.
Good.
But you,
Two things there for you to sign right away.
all right?
The canvassing board here, the other guy's already signed.
Donating the next 6 years.
So isn't there something more modern than canvassing, like some particular big
Vertex?
stop, no,
Vertex?
nylon, or, yeah.
Vertex?
Yes.
Good one.
Okay.
Any
Question.
should just leave spaces for however many members there might be.
Yeah.
And then there's one underneath that Pam wants you to sign.
Okay, that one's signed.
And this is the financial, financial report.
Okay. And all I have to do is sign it.
Sign it, yep.
I'm assuming that goes on in. Oh,
No, he's got vacation.
He's at his cabin.
Hey, Friday off.
Yeah.
And you know, I can
Somebody else can fill in the
Yeah,
I do, it's just awful.
It's just like, oh crap, now what?
Councilman Nelson.
Yeah, just like change of time.
Oh,
Winter
yeah.
comes, it's raining far behind.
Oh, yeah. You're like,
Now, you Can you give me a preview?
I've
of what
already
it is?
ordered seed corn.
What we've been doing for the last couple of months.
Yeah,
Just open it up.
Okay.
Tell me you planted your potatoes.
Mike, I still owe you down. If I didn't get elected, I would have been.
Yeah.
There's still peas on.
Taylor, about Taylor. He's very transparent.
Well, it's officially the time, so we can do the pledge and call the meeting to order. Everyone's here.
Hey,
Yes, sure.
Getting into
Sorry,
it too
just-
soon. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I
Pledge
pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
With our recent election and all the demonstrations, it seems like this would be,
the end of the meeting. Comments come at the end of the meeting.
well, people could comment at the beginning. I'm a citizen.
Well, on that note, we'll call the November 15, 2016 City Council meeting to order. All council members present. Up to Engineer Ryan, but Engineer Ryan is not here. He's welcome.
Josh Bolke, representing Mr. Ryan.
And Attorney Ritz. Citizen comments. Anyone wish to address the council on anything not on the agenda?
And not sitting up here.
Not sitting up there. Being none, then we can move on to adopt the agenda. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Yeah, there's two things that I want to bring up. The first one is Connie would like Bergen Circle drainage added to the agenda issue. And then secondly, Chief Lee would like to talk to the council about trying to do some site work to the fire hall site, try to cut a little bit of that hill down. But anyway,
So that would go under new business?
yeah, I guess so.
You're putting, aren't they old business or no?
Well, the fire hall
The
could
fire
be,
hall thing could be new business.
it could be either one of them, and the Bergen Circle one, depending on what you want to do with that. I think Scott wants to say something about that. Before you vote on adopting the agenda.
Scott?
I can, yeah, no, thank you. Mark forwarded that to me, and I looked at it very quickly, and I left a message for Mark when I was driving down, but it's something we certainly can look at, but I've looked at it, I don't see that there's anything different there right now or it's been explained to me from a legal standpoint. Mark's question to me when he forwarded this was, what do cities typically do in this type of situation? And you've already taken steps to try to review it, look at it, we've had staff look at it, we had the city engineer's office look at it as well. I certainly can look at it if that's what you want to do. You've got to direct me to do that, I suppose, along with Joe or you or somebody else from your office, as well as Mark. I don't think it's fruitful to keep bringing it back every meeting unless it's actually been looked at. This information, again, looked at it very quickly, 5-10 minutes at best. A lot of it I've seen before. There's references to easements in the past and things like that. But certainly, if we can look at and sort out, that might be helpful. But I'm not sure it's something you should put on the council's agenda for tonight. I can't respond to it. I don't think Mark can. I know you can't. Joe's not here. He's the one who looked at it before. So I really think, and my comment before even adding it to the agenda was going to be, this needs to be looked at if you, as a council, want us to look at it further. The reality is, I don't think the project was built incorrectly. Joe's looked at that and said it meets the design standard that was there. water does run downhill. If there's another solution, maybe that's where you want us to try to look at it, but from a legal standpoint, and what I see there, what the easements are, et cetera, it doesn't change what I would tell you to do, which is either look at it differently or not put it on the agenda, and direct staff to look at it further.
And how would you like us to look at it differently?
I don't know, because the information isn't different to me. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And I haven't pulled out all the plat maps from before. We looked at that previously to see what was there, what we thought was there. Certainly Joe's office did that as well to say, well, the project in 1999 did what the final plan said it was supposed to do. Now, if that's not the solutions everybody's looking for, I know there were other proposals out there, but that's not what was selected. That's not what the council chose to do based on what the input was from residents. That may have led to a different result, but that's, we're talking 18 years ago now, 17, 18 years ago. So I'm not sure there's much to discuss unless you give staff the ability to look at it further. And I'm not sure what that means because I looked at it very quickly. Let's put it that way. When I say differently, I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah, I'm thinking there's only so many angles you
Yes.
can look at it from.
Yeah.
And if we've done through 60, what more?
Well, I mean, you authorized to look at where the water runs and things like that, and we're getting way deeper discussion than for setting the agenda here, but it showed what the plans were built to be and how the water was set to run off. It does exactly what it was designed to do.
Now, so there's a problem, yes. Is the city liable, or does the city have a responsibility to take care of that problem? That would be the only thing that you would be looking at.
Right.
And at this point, we're saying no.
Typically, the answer is no.
Mhm.
Yeah, on that type of situation, because water does move and it's allowed to move, the project was designed the way it was. Properties that are downhill, and you can see from the pictures even that you've seen before, it clearly does run water there. That's the reality. That doesn't mean there's a solution or a city solution. Certainly there's alternatives, and Joe's talked about those already at previous meetings. So that's why I'm saying, I'm not sure it's fruitful to have that discussion tonight, unless you direct us as staff to do something different.
I don't see that tonight we could
No,
Can I
change
make one
anything.
quick comment? The original blueprint had the culvert in it. What the
And
city
that was
completed
chosen
did not.
to do.
yeah.
If that had been installed, perhaps that would have
Right.
cut off a lot of that water before it got so far. It wasn't wanted, it wasn't chosen to be done. This is an exceptional year. We've had saturated soils all summer long, so a half an inch of rain on saturated soil looks like a lot more than it would under normal conditions. I certainly don't want to put it on the agenda for tonight.
I don't think there's anything that would be resolved.
Certainly not tonight.
Right.
Now, could we revisit this in December's meeting? There be anything further? I got this package of information this afternoon myself. I had a little bit of time to look through it. I went on the county website and looked at the parcel viewer and didn't see anything that changed my mind there, but,
The only suggestion I have is Mark and myself, along with the engineer's office, can look quickly and see if there's anything else to bring back to you at the next meeting. But no, I can't react to it beyond what I've seen there, and it doesn't change what we've looked at before.
Fred, comment?
I think you're right.
So, are there any other corrections or changes for tonight's agenda? Then do we have a motion to accept the agenda with that one addition of the fire hall land shaping?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it then.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Consent agenda. Is there anything that should be removed from the consent agenda, or do we have a motion to accept that?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And, Mr. Pesta is here. So then we move on to presentations, public hearings. Jeff Pesta, superintendent, has a presentation for us on the public school facility improvement plan. Step up to the podium and present your presentation.
All right, well, you know where I just came from, and Mark, did things go in the packet that I had sent to you?
Yeah, they're in the
Okay,
packet.
all right, so, just to introduce, once again, Jeff Pesta, the superintendent for the KW schools, and been in the school system here for almost 2 years now, and one of the things that I had kind of pitched to both cities is the opportunity to collaborate with the communities, just talk about what kind of things we can partner on, what type of things we might be doing so that you're aware of them, so we're not interfering with each other's paths or things that the cities are doing and that we're aware of it, and kind of work towards those things. I think the school system, a healthy school system, can add to the value in the community, and sometimes that takes both the city and the school district working together on that. One of the things I had talked to Mark and Mike about possibly coming as a topic to talk about is we have been working as a school district on a facilities improvement plan that was triggered by a new funding mechanism that is available that went into effect past July 1st, and it gets phased in over 3 years. And it takes a lot of funding that went to schools for health and safety projects, but they had to meet the criteria for health and safety, or it had to be deferred maintenance on your buildings, but it had to meet very specific criteria. And now it's a little bit more open, and it's a better funding stream, and it gets faded in over 3 years. So when people hear that we're working on a facilities improvement plan, they start seeing things happening, and they're wondering, well, where did the school also get all this money from? It's really different funding streams that came from the state that are kind of working in harmony now, and they're enhanced through some recent legislation. So we wanted to share a little bit about what the strategic planning is that we're also going on with our school board, and in particular talk about facilities. And then there's been some other issues that we've talked about partnering, collaborating on between the cities of Canyon and Wanamingo and the public school district. Before I go into those, I'll often refer to Canyon and Wanamingo because obviously our district is covering 221 square miles of rural territory with 2 major communities in it, Canyon and Wanamingo. And I tell the city officials at both places, there's 348 public school districts in the state of Minnesota, and only one of them has Canyon in the name, and only one of them has Wanamingo in the name. So there's reason for us to be interested in collaborating as much as possible. So I'll kind of go through the things that I presented in your packet, and they're just, I didn't make them special for this meeting. They're things that our school board is doing in their strategic planning process. One of the things is doing some fresh branding in conjunction with our strategic plan. So you'll see in the packet, the board will be approving 3 logos, and we're doing something a little bit different. We're really elevating what we do with pre-kindergarten programs. We've reorganized how we do that and added different staff, and so they're on an equal playing field in our strategic plan for what we do in the community, and they each have their own logo. So we have the little knight, carries around a crayon and not a sword, which is probably a good thing for a little knight. The Knights in Training is the K4 program over in Wanamingo. That's their logo. And then Knights is for the grade 5 through 12th grade program at the high school, and it's also the district logo. So we certainly appreciate when people, whether they're using Canyon Viking or Wanamingo Bulldogs or old retro logos and hats and shirts and stuff like that. We like all that stuff too, but moving forward, like our official documents and our official things like what's on the middle of the gym floor and stuff are the official logos that we have and the official colors. We also want to encourage the people in the communities, just came from the CABA meeting, and we talked about anybody that's in these communities can use these logos. They're not, we haven't trademarked them or copyrighted them yet, and if we did, we would still extend that onto you. The only thing that we ask that you contact the school about is if you say the Canyon Wanamingo Public Schools or Canyon Wanamingo High School or whatever it is, and that's connected to a promotion you're doing or something, we want to know about that. Otherwise, just these belong to the community. That's, I think, a part of our identity that we hope that we share. And if a business or, you have the banners down Main Street and using KW logos, we certainly appreciate all that coverage as well. We're also interested if people want to expand that community identity, anything from new ideas for, some things that came up for one of you, they want to put night stencils on the fire hydrants. Well, we're open to that, and we're open to all the way up to, we'll help you paint a night logo on the water tower if you want to, because you see some communities that's really a strong part of their identity, and we certainly will support that. We're working with a local business called RightSmart that's helping us redo our website. It needed a lot of work, and so we're actually creating a parallel website that we'll open up and transition over to right after the winter break. And you'll see a lot of slogans and branding. So concepts like a night. So when we're over at Christmas in Canyon on December 3rd over at the library, right over there, it'll be read like a night, and we'll have teachers and principals and myself coming over there, mayors and whoever else we can get to come and read holiday books to the kids, and it's read like a night. So it's this night concept of what is the character education and what we expect of our nights, and I think most of the time they make our community very proud. So just kind of share a little bit of that background with you. The next document that you have, and of course we're open to suggestions on anything from slogans to core values and whatever, those are all a work in progress. That's what's on there. The next document that we shared with you is, from a strategic planning standpoint, the district really had to look at what is its future as far as student enrollment. That's the lifeblood of the district. And if we don't actively do anything, based on our census and just the amount of housing and whatever that's available, you can anticipate that the student enrollment is going to steadily decrease. That doesn't make it a bad district. In fact, we like being small, but being smaller means that ultimately we can offer less things. And if that's the direction that the board wanted to go in, that's fine, but they need to understand what that process will look like. And it may be difficult at some point to maintain schools in both communities. Another plan that they looked at was a balanced census, where there's usually, based on the census, about 900 students that living in our school district. Some will open enroll out for various reasons. Some will come in. We want to get that balance. We had a net loss of students to other districts. We've cut that in half in 1 year, and are looking to really minimize that down to where, we may have 50 kids for whatever reason, parents work, other connections where they open enroll to another district, but we have the same amount of kids coming back in from our perimeter and coming in. We've actually had a lot of students come in this past year from West Concord that are now attending the Canyon Wanamingo schools, because that's where they have a historic or felt like they had good opportunities there. So our board is choosing for the balanced approach. There's also another approach would be targeting growth, trying to increase the number of students that attend here up to the maximum space that we have. We're not far from that right now, but that would really include doing some significant things like creating magnet programs like an immersion school or a tech school, or participating in a integration plan with a school like Faribault, where students from diverse backgrounds have the opportunity to transfer over here. And right now the board is saying, let's focus on maximizing the space that we have, and we're not going to get carried away here. Let's really focus on this balance model. So that's where they are right now. And so some of the bullet points on that are just about, I use kind of a semaphore coding on it. It's green, red, or yellow. What speed you want to move at as far as dealing with the district. The next document kind of leads us, I think, to our facilities, which is, okay, we have our facilities one. Maybe it was the first one that you had up there, was the Dream Like a Night.
Maybe I missed one.
No, good.
There we go, that's it. And that's really what I'm here to talk to you about. I just want to give you a little bit more background, is keeping on that theme of doing things like a night and the older kids role model for the younger kids and so forth. We wanted to go to our school board and to our staff and basically tell them, encourage them to dream like a knight. What would you like to have in your school facilities and in your community if there were no limits? Just go ahead and dream. We got indoor swimming pools, hockey rinks, we got all kinds of stuff. And we said, that's fine. In the end, we got that whole list. Some of them aren't going to be that practical because they're really not sustainable or they're extremely expensive. But eventually we got some really great ideas. And we winnowed those down to some very specific ones. And we're also using that now that long-term facilities funding stream that is phasing in over the past 3 years. And we've actually targeted some things and begun to do some of those things. And I wanted to explain a little bit. Sometimes people will look at something like, hey, you got a new parking lot, but you only did half of it. Didn't you know there was another half? And we want to get out to the community that this is part of a plan. That's how much money we had to spend this year. So we got that part done rather than wait till somebody disappears into a crater in the parking lot. Let's get one part fixed and then we'll stage it in. So we're doing a pay-as-you-go model right now as that money phases in. But over time, the district kind of got into, they had to do some budget cuts. They've had some unstable enrollment. And they kind of got this overall mentality that there's no money to spend and we can't improve anything. And not only do we have a different kind of funding stream on that, but when we plan strategically, we do have money to do things, and we can present to the community some of the other dreams that we have as we dream like a knight. So this first year, we've pretty much finished off the baseball softball complex over at Wanamingo. We've just finished the junior high or the junior varsity field. So the varsity, junior varsity baseball and softball fields are in Wanamingo, and you know. There needs to be a balance between Kenyon and Wanamingo. Everything can't be in Kenyon, everything can't be in Wanamingo. So most of with the high school being here, most of the sports things were located in Kenyon. The baseball, softball field is one way of really having an identity for Wanamingo, and I'm sure a lot of you have been there, and it's a really nice community ballpark complex. So we're pretty much finishing that off with the final JV field right now. We upgraded the main parking lot over at the high school. We left the last part closest to the school unfinished because we have a greater long-term plan to redo the entrance to the school. We need to for security reasons, but also for aesthetics. And the landscaping has aged to the point where it's really difficult to maintain. So we are definitely moving forward on that front entrance. And we want to make sure that the front entrance and the parking lot come together, how we flow traffic through, how some of our senior citizens and other people who aren't as mobile, how they get into school. We always have issues with, in the wintertime, people trying to get in for events and everything. It's just not really as functional as we'd like it to be. So we'll have those two parts come together here in the second year. We are undergoing an engineering study, and we'll have a group of school engineers coming, engineers and architects presenting on November 28th at our school board meeting, taking the ideas that we've dreamt up and turning them into some sketches and some ideas, some ballpark figures. We may or may not work with that company, but it's our first attempt at visualizing what we were thinking of doing here with the entrance. And we really need to look at our athletic complex. We've had a track that's kind of a cinder-based track that's really worn out and hard to maintain. We've had excellent achievement by our track athletes over the years, and I'm not sure how they do that because they don't really have the facilities to train on very well. So with this long-term facilities funding, we can actually replace similar things. No one will replace a track the same way we had before, so we can upgrade that to a competition level track, and we can use that funding stream for us. We just need to bunch it together. So you take like 2 years of funding and bunch it together. So the plan is to look at that, updating that track within the next year or so, but we want to make sure that it's not done piecemeal, that the football field has to be, make sure that it's the way that we want it to, and the track has to fit there. So we're going to be looking at that on the 28th. Would it be in the same spot, or would it have to move to another open area in Kenyon, distinct from the football field, whatever? So that whole complex, we start with putting the whole plan together and then working through it as we can afford those things, but the pieces, even though the money comes in chunks, the pieces all fit together in a master plan. And then, not very exciting, as you know, if you work for or represent the city, things like roofing maintenance and stuff are not really exciting, but if you don't do them, we all know what happens. So we have a roofing maintenance cycle that we need to begin again, and we'll do the first part of that beginning this year. One of the last things that we're going to do, and we waited for the elections to be finished, we're waiting for our new school board members to be seated, and also for this kind of initial peek ahead at what our facilities plan looks like. And then we are going to survey the community and say, these are the things that have risen to the top of our Dream Like a Night list, and they are dreams. We're going to outline which ones we will pay for with the funding that we directly have access to and our school board has control over. One of the areas that has kind of risen to the top of the dream list is a multi-use facility that would be located and attached to the main gym. Oh, I forgot to mention, you may have noticed, this year we also put in new scoreboards, refinished the gym floor in our primary gym, and that looks really great if you haven't been in there. And we love our gym for hosting our big events, and that would continue what we on into long term. But there's potential to attach to that an extra space. We have another gym in the older part of the building they call the middle school gym that absolutely has to be addressed. It's beyond almost beyond usable at this point. And so we'd like to turn that into a space for special needs and pre-kindergarten students to use for adaptive phy-ed and their activities and running around and doing all that kind of stuff. It's to be the right space for them. But our wrestling team currently uses that, our volleyball teams use that. It's not really a space that's really conducive of what we're trying to do. So to create kind of like a field house multi-use facility that basically is a couple more floors, not wood floors, but a sport court or something like that. If you saw the weight room that we use, we don't show pictures of it because people would wonder how we're even keeping it open. It's not a good situation. It's basically the backstage of an old theater with a bunch of weights in it. So we have a weight facility, a trainer facility, and upgrade our locker room and restrooms so that we have multiple options for what students need right now. There's some other additional things that could be connected with other than that functional space, such as a track around it for indoor community use in the winter, or a track on a second level with the spectating area. But this is really even though it's a dream, it's really meant to be as a really functional kind of thing. So we'd be looking at, if the community is interested in bringing this out, then it would be a voter-approved project, and it most likely would, once again, if there's favorable response, it would be brought out in an election next year, a special election to vote on approving the bonding for that. The bonding rates are extremely low right now. We just refunded a bond or passed HVAC project from years gone by and saved the district $456,000 just by refunding one bond. So the bond market is really good right now. So we want to see what people think about that. The space also could have a performance space. We have an old band shell that needs to be torn down, but it could be connected with that field house where you have a space where you could have outdoor graduations, you could have community concerts and things like that, and you could also just move them inside on the opposite side of it. And if you had an outdoor graduation and it looked like thunderclouds were coming in, you just switch it and have it inside the field house kind of thing. So just that functional, improve what we have for capacity for our athletics, our fine arts, and our community education. So it's a dream. Our next step is to go out there and talk about to the community and find out how interested they are and show them, even though we think it'd be a pretty economical package, somebody would have to pay for it and they'd have to approve to pay for it. We also want to make sure that the cities know what we're thinking about doing, because something like an outdoor performance space might be something that was on your wish list. And we don't want to step on each other's toes. We want to work together, because there'd be spaces that obviously the community would use for regardless of what the function is. The school functions, and then we extend out the different levels of community use for the facilities to make them carry as much impact in the community as we can. So that's the nature of that, and I'll certainly answer any questions that you have about that. I'm primarily here just to share with you and get feedback and let you know that, you know, if you live within the school district, you're going to be communicated in a survey format to say, what do you think about this dream? Is it something that should be pursued and explored a little bit further, or is the timing not right for that? My particular perspective on working through the board with this is for the students who are currently of school age, this may be an opportunity to put something in place that they can all use through their school career and into the future that may or may not come by again as far as the cost of doing it, and the current enrollment that we have and stabilizing that would make an ideal time to do that. So that's why it's a topic right now. There's also an enrollment issue that we've worked with between the city government, Kenyon and Wanamingo, and I'll leave that to Mark to introduce that, and I can certainly provide any background or help with that if that's a topic that you want to bring up today.
Yeah, I didn't put it on the agenda,
Okay.
and I don't know if I was waiting to get another copy of that or what, but there's a resolution that Wanamingo City Council did that basically addresses or is opposed to, if that's the right word, Jeff. Zumbrota comes into Wanamingo to pick up students right now that open and roll out, and you know, there's a lot of concern with that, the fact that they cross border lines, and so I guess Wanamingo kind of asked me if, you know, I'd have the council review this, and so I guess what I'd do is put it on the December agenda. If that's, I kind of wanted to bring it up first to see if there was a general interest in it.
My understanding of the open enrollment was, yes, you could enroll in whatever school, but you had to provide your own transportation. They're sending buses to another community, they're kind of poaching students, you might say.
Did you have a copy of the Wanamingo resolution, Mark? I'll give you one.
I might have it in my email, but
I'll give you one just in case, and extra copy.
I
But I'll
would
just
say,
kind of update you on, Wanamingo did pass a resolution, and we wanted to frame it as supportive of the Kenyon Wanamingo schools and not negative about any other school district. But the background is that in the early 1990s, the state passed its open enrollment law where you can enroll to another district. Your resident district is still responsible for educating you and paying any extra fees like special education costs or whatever, but your per pupil funding, the dollar amount that goes with the student follows them to the other district. Typically, the students need to get to the other district, their parents take them or whatever, or they can get into that district and get to a bus stop that's in that district. That's pretty much been the standard. In our area, between the 9 districts that have a boundary with Kenyon Wanamingo, we're a very expansive district, so we actually border 9 other school districts. There's a total of 11 districts that we either border or participant in a cooperative with us, such as the Special Ed Cooperative, Goodhue County Ed District. So of those 11 districts, there's only one that transports students from out of another district without a mutual agreement, and that's the Zumbrota-Mazeppa. And that actually came about from a case in 2010 where a student had claimed that Kenyon Wanamingo didn't provide the special needs services that the student is entitled to. It went all the way to an administrative hearing. Kenyon Wanamingo was found to be providing all the services, so there was nothing that resulted from that other than the family, I guess, through the experience, decided they wanted their child to go to the Zumbrota-Mazeppa School District, and Kenyon Wanamingo agreed that they would transport them over there, and that was done with a shuttle van. That was 2010. From between 2010 and 2015, it expanded from a van to a bus that was picking up students and ultimately made its way into town, from rural stops into a town stop, and now it stops a block away from the elementary school and picks up students, and that number has increased to about 50 students that are open enroll, 53 that are open enroll there, and about 30 some that get picked up in the Kenyon Wanamingo district and transported over to Zumbrota-Mazeppa. So we've been working with Zumbrota-Mazeppa to try to sunset that, accepting responsibility that Kenyon Wanamingo let that build up over time, but it's really not a sustainable model. and it could actually long-term impair the ability to operate a school in Wanamingo if kids are being bused out to a neighboring district. And geography, plays a big role in that. Wanamingo is very concerned about that. They understand that the school is a big part of their identity. They love having the kids over at the school. They want to ensure the future of their school long-term. So they passed a resolution in support of the schools and encouraging ZM to sunset that agreement. So it was a very supportive type of resolution, not a finger-pointing thing. But they really wanted to stand up for their schools, and that's led to conversations where they want to put a sign. And at one point, realtors were advertising that parts of Wanamingo that were being developed were part of the Broad Mazeppa School District, and all kinds of things that really got to be a mess. And so we're just trying to get that back under control, plan for the future. The Broad Mazeppa is going to put a sign at the entrance to Nelson Drive out there on Highway 60. Kind of looks, I don't know if you'll see it from here, but it basically says, "Welcome to Wanamingo, the city of Wanamingo, and the Canyon Wanamingo Public School District, home of the Knights." If you're coming in there, it should be no mistake what school district that is. Once again, it's promoting us and not pointing a finger at anybody else kind of thing. So that's an ongoing thing. I know that Mike, the city administrator over Wanamingo, reached out to Mark and said, we're doing this, would you have an interest in showing your support for the KW schools too? And so they've gone through that process. They're also doing some things, like I said, whether it's putting up banners and stencils and whatever they really want to, they're going to put a mural up on the bus garage in Wanamingo with a little Knights logo on it, or Knights training logo. So they really want to further identify their community as part of the KW school district. That's their choice. It's certainly a choice, and we've already done this in Canyon with street signs, and as I just came over from Bourne Veterinary today, I must have went by 3 or 4 Bo Knights, we're proud of you signs or whatever, and the fire departments come out and escort kids off to their state tournaments and all kinds of stuff like that. So we really appreciate the support that we get from the residents in the city of Canyon, and any additional boost that you have available, we're not shy about working with you on that. So that's kind of the nature of the presentation, and like I said, it all stemmed from just really, whether there's any issues or any projects to talk about, we want to talk anyway, even just on a regular or semi-regular basis. And when you have things that you need support from the school district on, and we participate in the Canyon Area Business Association, we try to participate in the community events and things like that. And, there's a certain kind of life that gets injected into a district that only kids can do, and how hard we adults try. The kids have a different knack for making things happen and making things exciting and interesting. If you observed any of the volleyball or football in the last week or two, you know that just is a special thing that makes the town exciting. It gives the police chief a place that plays guitar at football games and stuff like that. So it's all good, and we're open to anything in the future, and certainly any questions or current things that you'd like to work on together, we're at your service. And I thank you for your attention, and certainly open to questions.
Frankly, the school and the city need each other.
I think
We stand or fall together, so it behooves us to cooperate as fully and as much as we can, as often as we can. Any other comments, Jerome?
I know the gym is beautiful. Turned out great.
And what we want to really express to people is we're maintaining the facilities that we have. They're doing the job for us. We want to maintain them. We want to be good stewards of that investment that the community makes, and we want to kind of show off the things that we're doing with the funding that we have. And that kind of, I think, helps build some confidence that if there is an opportunity to add something that's missing, first we want to show what we're doing with the money we already have and the facilities we already have. And we want to distinguish between, personally, I don't like to cry wolf. If I ever came to the community and said, we need this, we absolutely need this, I want them to believe me. And so when I talk about some of the dreams that we have, those aren't needs. Those are improvements, those are extras that may have great value for the community. That's up for the community to decide. But I'll only come before the citizens saying we need something if we absolutely need it, because that does happen from time to time. We want to make sure that the message is clear and we distinguish between the needs and the nice things to have.
taken me a while to get used to the nights, but I'm beginning to come around, and the way the pro football Vikings are going, I don't miss the name Vikings very much anymore.
Well, the Knights came together long before I was here, but it's worked well for us because there is so much in that identity that we can take advantage of. Like I said, where you see the logos, the Knights are supposed to be role models in a positive way for the Knights in training, and the little Knights aspire to want to be like the big Knights, and that's a community coming together. And we have a concert on Thursday, and they video recorded some things to put in about what makes KW great. And the thing that I said is, having worked in 4 larger school districts in my career, and interacting with administrators and teachers and stuff from districts all around the state and around the country, the big push right now in education is take your giant school and try to break it down into smaller schools because it's a better experience for the kids. We've already got that going on, and we want to take advantage of it. It is an amazing experience for people to be able to interact and have the opportunity and get to know each other on that scale, and we want to take advantage of that. At our Hall of Fame presentation this past fall, it was a really nice introduction by Randy Hawkinson. He said, everybody's from somewhere, but all of you here that are going to the Hall of Fame, you're from here. Everyone's from somewhere, but you're from here. And then one after another went up there and talked about how, whether it was in the 50s or the 90s or 2005, what an impact growing up in a place, in a community like this that was supportive and had that overlapping layers of social capital and that connectivity, how it shaped their lives. And it was really an amazing testament to hear one after another go up and say that. So it is a place that certainly there can be challenges, but there's so many assets that make it a great place.
Hey, thank you.
All right.
So we can move on to engineering. Update on the fire facility project.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. I believe you have Joe's memo that he crafted, so I won't go into too great depth per se, but I would like to highlight just a few of the items that are listed. Particularly, project is moving on relatively smoothly. This last November 3rd, we had the regular monthly progress meeting with the USDA, and nothing out of the ordinary was noted at that meeting. As far as moving on to the topic of parking lot subgrade gravel, one thing I'd like to point out is that the contractor at their own behest decided to use a geotextile fabric underneath the gravel base, and they did that at their own cost as for their convenience. And from an engineering perspective, that's a good thing. It really helps with the geotechnical aspects of any parking lot or building, what have you. And so much so that what we valued, that fabric was around $8,000. So an extra $8,000 in value at no cost to the city, so that was very cool to see. As far as the parking lot and curbing, paving, all of that, the one thing to note is that the bituminous plants across the region shut down pretty much the week of November 7th, meaning that any paving that anybody wants to do, they're going to have to wait till spring. And I know you guys were all aware that we're going to look to do the remaining bituminous next spring anyways, but that officially sealed the deal on that one. As far as the precast wall panels, I'm sure you all have driven by there, and those have been up, and there was an error in the pattern on 4 of the precast panels, and so the city reviewed that along with us, and the consensus was that those wall panels could be left in place as long as there's a deduction coming. And I guess I'm not sure where that exactly sits, if that's official or not, but it's something certainly to be aware of and consider. As far as previous items from last month, we did have pay request number 2 and change order 3 that the council had approved pending concurrence by USDA, and we did get concurrence from the USDA, so we're moving forward with that. Which brings us to the action requested for this evening, namely with payment request number 3. It roughly represents, I suppose you could say, around pretty close to 50% of the work being performed, or that's been performed. And that has been included with this memo. And we recommend, just as with payment request number 2 previously, we do recommend approval contingent on USDA occurrence. And with that, I guess I'll open it up to any questions that the council may have.
Well, not sure how up to speed you are on the situation there, but I noticed the insulation for the roof has been up there for, well, since last week sometime. And from the ground, it looks as though they've gotten some of that put down, and then it seems to have come to a halt. Is there a reason for that?
I guess you're right, I haven't heard the specifics of that. I do know in general within the construction community right now, there's a lot of pushing and pulling for contractors on various projects. I don't know if that has anything to do with this particular project, but I don't know, maybe the city administrator has something that he might be aware of that I'm not. But I do know that we are, just as an industry as a whole, wrestling with a lot of contractors to keep pushing them to keep moving forward. So.
They have a holdup on the adhesive to glue the product down. That's what the holdup is for the roof.
Oh. So good, I'm glad to know there's a reason for it.
Yep.
Just, I went to Cancun for a week, and Mark, I don't know, do you want to have anything to say about the deduct on that?
Well, they agreed to deduct $10,000 total. So that'll be coming in some kind of a change order for the future, in the future, hopefully.
So at this point, then a motion to approve pay request number 3 would be in order, in the amount of $440,382.26. Do we have such a motion?
So moved.
Pass.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. So then we can move on to legal. Update on property abatement at 411 Bullis.
After your last council meeting, which you approved the 2 abatement actions, service was made on all those persons, I want to say residing, but at present at the property, and the chief did deal with that. We've made several attempts to deal with the record owners in Great Falls, Montana, and decided in discussing with Mark and internally in my office to do notice by publication. After we did that, then he called. So we didn't have contact again. He did say that he was willing, most likely, to sign an acceptance of the service. We haven't heard anything to this point in time, so we're going to continue to move forward with the publication by, or notice by, or service by publication. So we'll cover it one way or the other. The key under the statute is serving him. It's not the people even here. We've done that as an extra service and notice to these persons that are occupying the property to make sure we can remove them. But the person that matters is the actual record owner. We talked about it the last couple meetings. So we want to make sure that the service is perfected, it's done properly, because then we can move forward with the abatement and whatever course of action that takes, but also then assess the property back correctly. A judge would question, have you served the record owner, because that's what the statute requires us to do. If he responds, great. If he doesn't, we'll be done with service very shortly. I think it's next week. Pam, how many times have we done it so far? Do you remember?
It was
Was it every week for?
4 weeks, and I know we've done these two, I think, I don't know if it goes this week, and then the next week, I think, is the final one, and then we'll be able to move forward with
In
it.
case the end of November, will
Exactly.
certainly be done.
Yeah, exactly. That's been the only holdup. All the other folks, he was able to serve, so we've done that properly. Again, an extra step just to make sure we can remove those persons from the property. But that's where we're at right now. So it's slowed down because of, and we thought we had a break when he finally responded at one point, so there was no question he's received it in some capacity because he made the call back, but that's not what works under the statute.
No one said it was gonna be easy.
No, I said that. That was the problem in 2014, was the same type of service issue with this person. We thought we caught a breakaway call, but that it hasn't resulted the way we were hoping. So,
You know he's still alive.
still around.
That was a question.
Yeah, that was a question. He's still around. The right person purporting to be is still around. So,
Oh, good point.
yeah,
Purporting to be.
yeah. Well, and that's the issue. That's why we're continuing with what the statute requires. So, that's the
Okay,
update.
now then we can move on to Todd Bornfine property requests. A little bit complicated situation. He wants to split one lot, combine a portion of that with another lot, and also rezone a portion of that. But we can approve all these things with one motion, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, no, it's ready to go. It went through the planning commission last night,
Yep.
so it should be all set. It's exactly what you described. It's, I won't say
I live right
straightforward.
next door, so
Yeah.
I know exactly.
Yeah, I
what
was gonna
to do.
say, it's not straightforward, but it's descriptive. You see what's going on. Yes, you can approve all those and move forward.
And for that, we need first we need a motion and a second, then we need a roll call vote. And
I'll make that a motion.
I'll second. And we can start.
In favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes, wonderful. Update on, we have to, here,
Rezoning.
well, that was the rezoning. I guess we need another motion for the lot combination. That's the way it is in here.
Lot split, lot combination.
Yeah, do that, I guess. They have it separate, and then you got them both covered. That's fine. I thought they were together, but now I see.
Yeah, I made that mistake.
No, I get it.
So I'll make the motion that we approve the lot combination.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Go sell that thing, Todd. I need your new neighbor. Update on Shirley Erickson Fullcraft property request. This was something that was requested and has now been withdrawn.
Yeah, it was withdrawn by the applicants.
So we need no more discussion or action on that. And updates to data practices policy. This is just a housekeeping thing to reflect newer statute.
It is, and it's something we periodically have updated. It was time, there have been some requests for these types of policies by various individuals. I talked with Mark and said I think it makes sense to update. There were a couple of things that have occurred recently. Nothing out of the ordinary. Everything in the policy basically is what staff is already doing and has been doing for quite some time. But it makes the policy compliant with all state laws at this juncture right now. So yes, the recommendation is to approve, and it's really a ministerial task. Again, staff is following everything in the policy already.
Do we even need to make a motion?
Yeah, motion, and it is one of our administrative policies, so motion and second, and a vote would be appropriate.
Go ahead, move to approve the changes.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And that passes. And we have nothing under old business currently. The new business, resolution 26 2016-29, adopting assessment for delinquent utility bills. Motion to approve resolution 2016-29.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Who did the second, excuse me?
John.
Jen, okay.
And canvass the 2016 election returns and declare the results. Well, the results were that I, Richard, and John were reelected. Do we have a motion to accept those results?
So moved.
We'll pass. Second.
You'll learn how to say that properly. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
That's a German way of doing it.
We are in America, not Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Wellhead Protection Plan, Part 1. And Mark, you're the
Yep.
resident expert on that.
Well, I don't know about that, but basically, the Department of Health requires all cities to complete wellhead protection plans every 10 years. There's two parts to these plans. Basically, the purpose of the plan is to help delineate a well protection and water supply management area in and around the city. The plan has two parts. The first part was completed by the Minnesota Department of Health. It mainly assessed the vulnerability of drinking water in the city and surrounding areas. And after they did a pretty extensive survey, they basically showed low vulnerability to wells in this area. A lot of that's based on soils, water table, permeability, all those kind of things. And this area is pretty solid. Soils are pretty solid, so there isn't a lot of potential for, contamination of groundwater. Now this actually is being coordinated through CAMU because they're the water utility, but I wanted the council to be aware of this process. All cities now basically have to do this, where it used to be a certain size, I guess. So Kenyon, their plan is, it's well over 10 years old, but we don't update it until we're notified by the state, so we're kind of overdue for this. The second phase will be prepared by CAMU, and the city engineer, I guess that hasn't been decided yet, but I would think that would probably be the easiest way to go with it, but that has to be decided by CAMU. This step will deal more with kind of the implementation of steps that the city and CAMU would take to protect the water system. And there's further information in your packet. So, there's I put part of the phase 1, what I call applicable portions of the summary report, so you can get some idea of what this deals with. It's obviously pretty technical. So we have a meeting set up in early December, basically with the Department of Health, Minnesota Rural Water, and it's like a public meeting we have to advertise, but it'll be during the day, and it's basically just, it's a legal requirement. We also have to notify surrounding local units of government, including townships around us, Goodhue County Soil and Water Conservation Service, the county commissioner, other related organizations, but basically the townships in the county in a nutshell. So basically, and then once that meeting is held, then the second phase will have to get kind of finalized, and I believe that's got to be done by the third quarter of 2017. So in the support material, there's mapping, there's a map of the area of what they think the delineated area of what they identified as kind of the city's groundwater
Need a recharge area.
recharge area, thank you, that's a good description. And then there's also a map of the aquifer. So without, I won't go through all those things, there's a map that shows the subsoil cut, wells, a map showing where there's identified wells, and then a lot of technical stuff, so. But we're not in an area of vulnerable soils, or vulnerable, which is good for groundwater, because that makes a huge difference in how you put a plan together. I don't know if you've done one in an area where there was vulnerable water, but it's not pretty as far as what you have to do, so. But I just wanted to put this in the packet for information, so that the council knows if this.
Yeah, we really don't need to do anything.
No, I kept this, as far as the approval goes, with KMU, because KMU is the water utility, and, you know, we could have had the council approve it, but I think that it's more appropriate for KMU to do it. And then we just keep the council informed of what's going on with this, so. There we go, get down there. So I don't know if there's any questions on any of this. There's an executive summary from the Department of Health, and then the different maps and charts and all that good stuff, so. I don't know if there's anything else you can think of, or in general terms, but.
No, just from what I've seen, I would agree that Kenyon is very fortunate to be positioned, as Marjorie suggested, some of the other communities where they're not as fortunate as you all are. The cost of treatment plants and everything else gets very expensive in a hurry. So it's, even though in those situations you normally qualify for a lot of grants and things of that nature, it's still a process that nobody wants to deal with if they can help it. So, as Mark said, this is a very typical process in terms of the wellhead protection plans for all communities nowadays. And so, yeah, it's just a matter of keeping the thing updated and on top of it, and keeping the Department of Health happy.
And avoiding love canals. Well, quite seriously, that is exactly what these things are meant for. Get ahead of contamination before it happens.
Precisely correct.
So, item D, digital speed sign cost sharing with Goodhue County.
The city was contacted last month about a possible cost-sharing agreement with Goodhue County for digital speed limit signs. This goes back, I was contacted by them in late in 2014 about this. Basically what the county came up with is, in several cities, they've already gotten approval to co-opt on the cost of buying a digital speed limit sign. And what they're proposing to do is basically in Zumbrota, Cannon Falls, a couple other communities, basically to put up posts where the county road entrances are to the city, and then this sign could be moved from one post to another, kind of rotated around. And so in that instance, the county agreed to pay 50% of the cost of the digital speed sign. Now, we would have a need to put the digital speed limit sign on the 3 state highway entrances. So what the county tentatively came up with is they would pay 25% of it, and that way we could use it wherever we want to. We could use it on the county entrances or the state highway entrances to the city. So the approximate cost is $2,500 for the tap hose and manufacturer of the sign. The mounting brackets are about $135, so the city share would be approximately $1,875. if it was only used on the county roads, which I wouldn't recommend, it would be $1,250. But the county would pay approximately $625 of the cost of the sign. And I guess that final thing would have to be worked out, but I mean, I think we're talking to Greg Isaacson, the county highway public works director engineer, that would, he suggested that to me, so I would think they would go along with that, but.
My understanding of what was in there was that Isaacson was proposing 3 locations on the county roads here in town. And that'd be presumably coming in on 12 out here from the east.
12 from the south.
12 from the south, and 13 out here.
Yep.
From my way of seeing it, none of those are really much of a hazard. Possibly 12 coming from the south by the high school, maybe a little, and the new houses and the apartments, maybe a little bit there. The other two,
The traffic counts aren't very high.
traffic
really,
is
as
not
many
high,
others.
they've got a stop sign anyway. Where I see a need, if anywhere, would be on the boulevard and possibly coming in 5660 from the north and east, especially on the boulevard is where there seems to be the biggest problem.
Well, I guess the thing is, they've offered to pay, basically a quarter of that cost, so. The county roads do not have high traffic counts, that's correct. I think the state highways probably can make a case for any of the entrances coming into town, especially when you look at it being rotated around. It's not gonna be in the same place all the time, so people aren't gonna see the thing every day, and pretty soon they just blank it out.
And it's not enforcement, it's just making people
Right.
aware, but particularly coming in from the west, it's real easy to be, I've been going 65 miles an hour for the past 15 miles, and I slow down to 45, and it feels like I'm standing still. I think that is an issue, but how do you gentlemen feel about this?
I was just looking at Lee, hoping that I could ask him what
Maybe
his
lock up.
opinion of it. Yes,
I personally think we got better places for our money.
Yes, I have never been a fan of spending money in order to save money. So just because the county is giving us some
Yeah.
money, we still have to spend money.
Discount on something you don't really need to buy
Yeah,
is still an expense.
Yep.
We could use, possibly look for something else to figure out that crosswalk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
More than probably, yes.
yeah.
I'm gonna
Even
bring
beyond just a crosswalk,
That's
that
not-
is a problem. People going in and out of town do drive too fast.
And
Especially right after school, frankly, when certain kids with noisy pickups like to make them sound off down there.
Okay, Chief, the second you walk out, then we need. So we're talking about that cost sharing, the digital sign cost sharing.
Yep.
There seems to be more of a consensus that maybe it's not something that we need that badly, and so they wanted to get your 2 cents worth on it.
I like the signage idea for a couple reasons. Anything that can help us educate the public, I think is a good thing. We can sit somewhere, we'll get a complaint about traffic or speeding or rolling stop signs, we'll go somewhere and sit. And then, of course, we don't see the activity, which is a good thing. I'd like people to always comply. But the times that we're busy and we're gone, it's nice to have a couple reminders of, hey, this is the zone. I know we've had a few complaints on Bullis Street, the Gunderson and Boulevard crossings. So I think it's nice that way. I also think it's nice to have some partnerships with the county. I like it if we would do it and then walk up momentarily, I'm sorry, because of a phone call, but I like the idea of being able to rotate a sign. So if it gets to be a problem somewhere, we can move it. I know we had some complaints on 12 coming in by Learfeld's farm before. We did a traffic survey. I think the speed, speed, I've got the results next door, was like maybe 38 or 35 or something. But like a lot of things, people will call in and say, oh my gosh, they're driving 80 past my place. Okay, they're really not driving 80 past their place, but people certainly can see them that way. So I like it, but I certainly will follow what the council likes too. So I think in the scope of things, $1,800 for something that can help us maybe educate the public would not be a bad deal, but I don't know whatever the council wants to do, what else.
So it's Broda and Pine Island that have determined that they want to purchase, or interested in doing it, so.
Another question I've got here. The state would have no problem with that sign. Would they?
No, the state, we have to, well, actually, we kind of crossed this bridge already, because we looked at signs. We had a guy from TAPCO come in and show us some digital signs that MnDOT would approve. MnDOT will let cities put these signs up now as long as it meets their design standards, where in the old days they didn't, or they, unless they paid, you know, it was a project that they spearheaded, where now it's like they realized that, you know, they can, that a lot of cities want to put them in, and they'll let cities put them in as long as they meet the design. And this TAPCO signs, they're probably they're the biggest manufacturer of the speed signs and the crosswalk signs, and their stuff is pretty well universal in Minnesota especially, but in a lot of other states, so that shouldn't be an issue. But we would have to make sure that confirm that with MnDOT for sure.
Well, I'm not ready to make a motion to proceed with this at this point. Would like to get it confirmed though whether this would be acceptable to them.
Didn't we write MnDOT with Mr. Cook's concerns?
Yeah, we did, and
Did that
they
study ever get
said that,
done?
yeah, they said they were gonna do a speed study, and
They were talking,
I haven't heard
I
anything.
haven't heard anything.
I got a follow-up on it too. This would have been was it early 16, but it was quite a while ago. And I haven't heard anything
Still
about
got
that.
that letter hanging on my bulletin board, as a matter of fact, and it's starting to turn yellow.
Yeah. So, and we can table it, or whatever you want to do.
I wanted to ask about the crossing guards, we were going to look into that for the crosswalks.
Speak of the devil.
That is basically.
See, this is what always happens when people like Jeff come to our meeting, and you think he has never probably been here. And look at this. Has it ever come to ask the superintendent since I've been here? It's never even come.
Since he's here.
Yeah.
There you go.
We were not contacted, and I know you had a citizen come and visit the council. We were never contacted by that citizen, even though the person is a parent who we interact with on a daily basis, so I'm not sure why they didn't bring that to us initially. But we have, because Gunderson Boulevard would be considered, for some of the things you described, not a safe crossing for students. We don't currently have transportation limits like many districts have. We probably will explore that right now. Basically the walking and busing zones are kind of set up on natural features. And right now, even though people who are living on the opposite side of the school, on the opposite side of Gunderson Boulevard, would not normally have transportation, the bus does have a pickup at the pool area for anybody who needs to get across. So even though they're close to school, they can hop on a bus as it comes across, because virtually, universally, the bus is the safest way for a student to get through traffic because of the structure of the bus, etc. So, and actually this situation has just popped up in Wanamingo too, where we were trying to do a walking, call it a walking school bus, where a volunteer would take kids across 57 who would live right on the other side, even though they're close. 57, if somebody's not paying attention, that can be unsafe. So we're exploring doing the exact same thing that was already worked out before my time in Canyon, which is, even though you're close to school, the bus will pick you up at the pool. You just go there at the time of the stop and hop on. This particular parent, the principal checked this out, and then I actually just happened to be passing by and observed it as well. Even though they live on the side towards school, they walk across Gunderson to go get on that bus. So they're actually creating the hazard by walking across, and apparently the distance from their home to school, the distance to that bus is shorter to go to the bus, but it includes crossing Gunderson. And so I think the solution is there, either walk your kids to school that few blocks in and stay on that side, and you don't have to worry about that. For those who live on the other side, we like them to stay on that side and just hop on the bus, especially for the younger kids, just hop on that bus. So that's, as soon as we heard about that, and it wasn't ever brought to us directly, but as soon as we heard that it was brought to the council, we checked on that with the parent, and like I said, also made observations and withheld transportation and found out that, I said, I don't know how many years ago they worked out the solution, but it's to keep people on their own side of Gunderson without having to walk across. So they're choosing to walk across.
Yeah.
So it would be very inefficient for us to put to pay for a school crossing guard out there when there isn't, they're creating the issue themselves.
Yes.
And also, crossing guards at busy intersections become the safety hazard.
Yeah.
You know, you're impeding the normal traffic flow, and then it becomes unsafe for the crossings, because now you have to hope that, you know, somebody's not texting or changing the radio station when they come upon a crossing guard, so. Does that answer the question?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, as in many cases, we only got part of the story.
It's true. Well, now we got the rest of the story.
Yes.
Well, and Lee did talk to the school liaison officer, deputy, Bird. He did make contact at the last council meeting about this, so. But that's kind of started the ball rolling as far as, and Jeff, or the principal, finding out, so.
Okay, we come to almost the last item on the agenda. Well, I'm sitting here looking at you two and thinking, now, I'm gonna say Chief Lee, and the wrong person's gonna stand up.
Not if you talk about fire.
Chief John Lee has something to share with us about fire.
Well, unfortunately, I think I wasted most of your guys' time. I got a price today, and they want $4,800 to take off the top of that mound. That's what I kind of figured too, so. So unfortunately, but we talked about it, it'll be something hopefully one day we could actually get done.
That's exactly what I mentioned to you when we talked about it.
So,
That's something that could be changed at a future date. If it
Yep.
really
so.
Didn't we have somebody that wanted it and was going to do it for free?
No, that's a different situation altogether.
Okay.
That's on the other end of it.
Well, it's the same hill, but yeah,
Yeah.
Okay,
so.
so we'll
Different
take out
location.
part of it for free, and the other part is $4,800?
No, for the contractor that's there now, for him to wipe the hill off, he wants, to make it all level,
Yeah.
he'd want $4,800. And then if he comes back in the spring to do it, he's gonna tack on another $1,500.
We're talking about the same site from, but.
Same hill, but only different parts of it.
Right, one will take it, and the other one wants, no, is that to fill in the?
That would be to fill in the ravine area, yes.
That they've created that should have been there.
Well, no, but according to the plans, it was set up to be there.
Yeah, but it
So-
really serves no purpose.
It
right?
serves no purpose whatsoever.
Right, they're supposed to drain that parking lot, right?
Yep,
And that parking lot is lower than the waterway.
yes. So,
So that was kind of an engineering screw up, right?
I'm not gonna go there,
I
but
know, but when you design something like that, you usually check things out as far as, you know, the grade level.
Elevation.
Elevation, yes.
Old boards, that's
You know, this is, I know, right?
Anyway, that's behind us at this point.
Yes. Not far behind, but.
Schedule of upcoming meetings, Township Fire Contract meeting, Tuesday, December 6th at 6 p.m. 2017 Budget and Levy Public Meeting, Tuesday, December 6th at 6:30. Boy, we're gonna get through that fire contact meeting in lightning speed.
Really?
Well, I'll be good.
You can always try.
Something's not going to go off on schedule, I'm afraid. And our next regular council meeting, Tuesday, December 13th at 7 p.m. Council and staff general comments.
None for me.
Nor I.
You had comments earlier.
I did, but now I can't remember what they were.
Yeah.
I think we probably lucked out getting our bonding done when we did, because interest rates have already gone up.
Yeah. That's what we're hearing.
Almost a half.
They're starting up now, but like a lot of other things this year, let's wait a few months and see where it ends up. Rich?
Just want to thank Jeff to kind of highlight or to kind of enlighten us on the school crossing, because that was kind of a big concern for us. And now that that kind of got straightened out, it's kind of a relief. Appreciate it.
I'll be mea culpa a little bit, because I talked to Jeff about this at another meeting, and he emailed me back, and, oh, well, that's no issue there anymore, and I probably should have shared that with the rest of you. You got it now. Motion to adjourn?
And move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Yeah, it would've been nice.
I lost out in the dirt.
No, I should have you sign one of those things that we pay you in December. Yeah, I should have you sign one of those things.
See, they were fixing some of the nice black dirt, a little bit of down to make extra cars.
Yeah, I saw a few truckloads of
Oh, yeah.
blackwood and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Down with that, I'm assuming that's at their cost. Well, they're all the bunch out to church.
So this package is, you have to walk.
Twenty some of those black dirt.
I would, yes. This sure.
Right,
You know.
and he thought it was okay. They didn't want to turn in. So, yeah, that's his truck. You know, when he was taking dirt off the hill,
That was not black church.
that's what he was mixing with the black dirt to make more dirt. So I told him to take as much of that as he wanted to get that hill down as well as he did that. But,
No, that's what didn't make sense to me about the parking
We have talked about that at the county a little bit. I did that one year.
Yeah.
We got a little bit of money for street signs.
right.
Yeah, what we're doing, we got,
Yeah, you know those, the only crosswalks down below are those ones that are activated by pedestrians. They're like $9,000.
I talked to him,
Yeah, they
he was
were
exactly
well,
that. So I'm assuming he's done it.
Yeah,
that's what I told him.
but yeah, that would be a good location for something like
yeah,
this.
That's where I thought,
I just figured
we
we
could take that and push it.
Crosswalks.
Did check.
Other than that.
Maybe we use it up.
I talked to his guys, and the guy said, yeah,
See ya.
with that dozer, it'll take me probably 2 hours. So I was thinking, you know, $1,000 tops. I was kind of shocked.
What's that?
That's a good age.
You obviously didn't want to do it.
Right.
Price high enough and say no.
Build that bridge and push all that back there.
Well, he would have to push dirt out first.